The alarms were still echoing through the steel corridors of Atlas Verge when Captain Mara Ellison stepped onto the command deck. The wide window at the front showed the endless black of space, scattered with cold stars. But there was something new out there now, movement. Her eyes narrowed as the tactical screen lit up with red markers. A fleet. Not one or two ships, but dozens, all sliding out of hyperspace like predators circling prey. "Confirm origin," she ordered, her voice calm but carrying weight. Lieutenant Ray Torres glanced at the data. Zeppelin Empire signatures. Captain. Heavy cruisers, escorts, and a dreadnought. They're inside our exclusion zone. Atlas Verge was not supposed to be a military target. Officially, it was a neutral research station at the edge of the dead zone, where alien star maps went blank and whispers spoke of ships that never returned. To most aliens, it was just a human science outpost, small, harmless, forgettable. But Mara knew the truth. Under the metal floors and false walls, Atlas Verge was something else entirely. Her gaze moved to the incoming signal icon blinking on the comm display. The aliens wanted to talk first. That meant they thought they had the upper hand. She gave Torres a nod, and the main view screen came alive. The image that filled it was a towering insectoid figure, clad in polished black armor that gleamed under golden light. The High Prefect of the Zeppelin Empire. His 4 eyes glistened, and the mandibles around his mouth clicked slowly, like he was savoring his next meal. "Human station." The prefect's voice rasped through the translator, low and deliberate. "You are trespassing in territory now claimed by the Zeppelin Empire. You will shut down your systems, evacuate your crew, and prepare for dismantlement. Your compliance will ensure your survival." Some of the crew shifted in their seats. Others froze, watching Mara. She didn't blink. "We are in neutral space," she replied evenly. "Your presence here violates every treaty your empire has signed." The prefect's mandibles curved in what might have been a smile. "Treaties are for equals. You are not our equal." Behind him, alien officers laughed in short, sharp bursts. The sound was like glass breaking. Mara let the silence stretch until the laughter died. Her voice stayed level, but her eyes were cold. "If you believe that, prefect, you have made a serious miscalculation." The prefect tilted his head, curious. "Do you think your little research station can stop my fleet?" He stepped closer to the camera, shadows crawling over his armored face. "We've seen your ships, Captain. Old designs, thin armor, underpowered weapons. You cannot fight us. You cannot run. You have one chance. Take it." Mara didn't answer right away. Her mind was moving, counting seconds, weighing options. Every minute they talked was a minute Torres and the hidden teams below deck could prepare. Finally, she said, "If we're so weak, prefect, why bring a dreadnought?" The alien froze for half a breath. His eyes narrowed. "To make an example," he hissed. The screen went dark. Torres turned to Mara. "Orders. Protocol Eclipse," she said without hesitation. Her voice was steady, but there was a sharpness to it now. "Prep the forge for activation, and get Dr. Voss up here." In the heart of the station, hidden behind walls thick with lead shielding and sensor-scrambling mesh, the quantum forge waited. The room around it hummed softly, its core a sphere of shifting light contained within a web of magnetic fields. Dr. Alara Voss, hair tied back and lab coat stained with weeks of work, was already running her hands over control panels when the order came through. "They're early," she muttered, fingers dancing over the keys. "But maybe that's better." She tapped a code into the console, and deep inside the forge, streams of energy began to coil and twist like living things. On the command deck, Torres read out the fleet's movements. "They're spreading into formation. Surround pattern. Classic blockade." "Let them," Mara said. Her eyes locked on the red blips tightening around the station. Through the wide windows, points of light began to glimmer, distant stars swallowed up by the harsh glow of alien engines. The dreadnought drifted closer, its hull a mountain of steel and jagged plating, bristling with gun arrays that could tear a battleship apart in seconds. It moved like a predator certain its prey had nowhere to run. "Captain," Torres said quietly, "they think we're trapped. Mara's lips curved in the faintest smile. Good. The station shuddered as the first alien targeting scans swept over it. Power levels spiked on the tactical board, but not from the enemy. They were coming from deep within Atlas Verge. The forge was waking. No one on the command deck spoke for several long moments. The only sound was the steady thrum of the reactor and the faint, growing whine of systems that weren't supposed to exist on a civilian station. Mara broke the silence. Transmit a short-range ping to the alien flagship. Torres hesitated. What message? Just one sentence, she said. Tell them we're ready. The comm officer sent the signal. Seconds later, the alien dreadnought's forward guns glowed bright, and the battle that would decide who really ruled this sector of space began. What the Zeppelin Empire didn't know, what they couldn't possibly imagine, was that the humans of Atlas Verge had been waiting for this moment for years. And once the forge was fully unleashed, the fight wouldn't be about who survived. It would be about who stayed in control of their own ships at all. Somewhere deep in the station, the hum grew louder. The lights on the bridge dimmed for a heartbeat, then flared again. On the tactical board, one of the alien ships flickered, its power signature shifting, reshaping, becoming something not entirely alien anymore. The prefect's voice came over open comms, furious. What have you done? Mara didn't answer. She just leaned forward, eyes locked on the dreadnought, and whispered for her crew alone to hear. Let's show them what humanity really is. The bridge was silent, but the air seemed to tighten, every officer at their post, every hidden system primed. Outside, the alien fleet adjusted their formation, unaware they had already stepped into a trap that had been built for them long before they arrived. And in the cold black beyond the station, the first spark of something far more dangerous than any weapon began to spread. The alien dreadnought moved closer, its massive shadow stretching across the viewports of Atlas Verge. Every angle of its jagged armor seemed designed to intimidate, each glowing gun barrel like the eye of some ancient predator. On the bridge, no one spoke for a moment. The crew could feel the weight of what was coming. The comms crackled again. The High Prefect's face appeared, larger than life, his mandibles twitching with irritation. Captain Ellison, you have one last chance to surrender your station and crew. Refuse, and you will watch them die before you. Mara stood in the center of the bridge, hands clasped loosely behind her back, her expression unreadable. You've already surrounded us. If you think we can't fight, why are you still talking? The alien's eyes narrowed. Because I am offering you mercy, human. The galaxy will not be kind to your kind. You will be absorbed into the Empire, or you will be erased. Absorption, Mara said softly, is not something humans do well. Behind her, Torres was muttering to his tactical crew, quietly giving orders as fingers danced over controls. Small signals blinked across his board, codes sent to hidden teams deep in the lower decks. The forge was heating up, and so were the station's defenses. Captain, Dr. Voss's voice came over the private comm line. Systems are cycling faster than expected. Once we go live, we won't be able to shut it down without consequences. Understood, Mara replied without hesitation. Hold until my signal. On the screen, the High Prefect tilted his head slightly, like a predator curious about its prey's final moments. Your arrogance is remarkable, Captain Ellison. I will enjoy tearing your station apart. The image vanished, replaced by the sight of alien ships shifting into an attack pattern. Bright thrusters flared as they tightened their encirclement. The dreadnought's engines glowed like a small sun, pushing it into position. Torres glanced up from his console. They're powering weapons. 30 seconds to full charge. Mara didn't raise her voice, but everyone on the bridge heard her clearly. Let them. The alien fleet's first move came like a sudden storm. A pulse of green light shot from one of the forward cruisers, striking the station's outer shields with a crackling burst. Energy rippled across the defensive field, but it held. A second shot followed, then a third, each one slamming into the station like a hammer. Shields down to 91%, Torres reported. They're testing us. They think we're going to panic, Mara said. They're wrong. Out beyond the station, something subtle began to happen. Several small objects, almost invisible against the black, detached from the station's hull. They drifted outward in no particular formation, looking like harmless debris. In truth, they were decoy satellites, each one carrying emitters tuned to mimic the station's core reactor signature. Within seconds, the alien fleet's targeting systems detected multiple reactors around them. Confusion spread through their formation as their AI flagged dozens of new critical targets. Torres smirked at his console. Hooks in. On the alien dreadnought, the High Prefect barked orders in his native language. His officers scrambled to reassign firing priorities. That was when the forge whispered to life. A low, thrumming hum reverberated through Atlas Verge's structure. Lights flickered for a heartbeat. Deep within the hidden chamber, streams of energy arced and twisted inside the containment sphere, their glow growing brighter with every second. Dr. Voss's hands moved over her controls in smooth, practiced motions. The forge was designed to do what no alien warlord could imagine. A silent reach into enemy systems, rewriting them from the inside. Calibration at 60%, she reported. Once we pass 70, their systems won't even know they've been compromised. The alien fleet pressed harder. 2 more cruisers opened fire, pounding the shields with blasts that rattled the deck plates under the crew's feet. Sparks fell from a lighting panel above navigation, but no one moved to fix it. All eyes were on the tactical display, where small blue symbols, representing alien ships, were starting to shimmer at the edges. First contact, Torres said. One of their frigates just lost primary engines. The crew watched as the blip wavered, then changed color entirely, from blue to green. That ship was no longer alien-controlled. Second ship down, Voss added. We have their navigation data, feeding it into our targeting systems now. Mara's lips curled into a small smile. Good. Start turning their weapons against them. One by one, more alien ships began to falter. Some drifted out of formation. Others fired on their own allies, their targeting systems quietly reprogrammed by the Forge's influence. Confusion spread through the enemy ranks like a fast-moving fire. The High Prefect's face reappeared on the comms, his armored mandibles flaring wide in anger. What trick is this? What have you done to my fleet? Mara took a step closer to the screen. We don't need bigger guns, Prefect. We just need to make yours ours. The transmission cut off before he could respond. Outside, the dreadnought's massive guns glowed again, ready to unleash their full power. Captain, Torres said urgently, if that main cannon fires, even our reinforced shields won't hold. Then we'll make sure it doesn't fire at all, Mara replied. The forge's hum deepened, like a heartbeat echoing through the station. In the containment sphere, the energy patterns shifted, aligning perfectly with the dreadnought systems. For a moment, the alien flagship shuddered. Then every light on its surface went dark. Gasps filled the bridge. The largest ship in the fleet hung there, silent, motionless, its guns cooling. Direct control established. Voss's voice came through, almost breathless. Captain, it's ours. Outside the window, the once intimidating dreadnought slowly turned, not toward Atlas Verge, but toward the rest of the alien fleet. The trap was sprung, and the real battle had only just begun. The dreadnought's engines flared to life again, but this time it was moving under human control. On the bridge of Atlas Verge, the crew stared as the massive ship pivoted slowly, its weapons swiveling toward the nearest alien cruiser. There was a long, tense pause, then a sudden, blinding flash as the dreadnought fired, tearing through its former allies' shields in a single devastating shot. The alien formation rippled with confusion. Ships scattered, breaking from their tight encirclement. Some turned their guns on the dreadnought, others pulled back, unsure of what had just happened. Mara kept her eyes fixed on the tactical screen. Torres, link the dreadnought's targeting systems to our command. Voss, expand the forge's range. I want every ship we touch to turn. Aye, Captain, Torres said, fingers flying over his console. Range expansion will burn out half the forge's conduits in minutes, Voss warned over comms. Then we do it in 2, Mara replied without hesitation. Out in space, the dreadnought roared again, firing its main cannon into another cruiser. The explosion lit up the void, debris scattering across the black. Smaller alien ships darted in, trying to disable their own flagship before it could fire again. But every move they made was just another opening for the humans. From hidden ports on the station's hull, thin streams of barely visible energy reached out, directed pulses from the forge, carrying encoded instructions. Within seconds, 3 more alien ships slowed, their weapons flickering. The tactical screen blinked as their icons changed color. That's 5 ships under control, Torres reported. Make it 6, frigate just came online. The human-controlled vessels began working together with eerie precision, maneuvering in perfect sync. They shielded Atlas Verge from enemy fire, intercepting shots meant for the station. One frigate slid into position beside the dreadnought, launching a spread of missiles that cut deep into the alien line. On the Zeppelin command channel, voices overlapped in panic. Mara couldn't hear the words, but she could see it in their movements. Chaos was spreading faster than any weapon could manage. The High Prefect appeared on the comms again, his composure gone. You dare twist my fleet against me? This is an act of war beyond reason. It's not war if you can't fight back, Mara said, her voice steady. The prefect's mandibles clicked furiously. Then the screen went dark again. Moments later, the remaining alien cruisers opened fire all at once, concentrating on the captured ships. The dreadnought took the brunt of it, shields flaring under the impact. She's holding, Torres said. But not for long. Mara looked to Voss. Push the forge harder. Voss hesitated, then entered a command. Deep in the station, the containment sphere inside the forge blazed brighter, its surface rippling with unstable arcs of energy. The hum grew into a low, vibrating thrum that could be felt through the deck plates. The effect was immediate. Alien ships across the battlefield began to falter, shields dropping, engines sputtering. One by one, their systems buckled under invisible pressure, until the forge reached inside and rewrote their commands. Another 4 ships turned, Torres said, almost in disbelief. Captain, they're falling like dominoes. The alien fleet's formation dissolved completely. Some ships tried to flee, punching into hyperspace. Others spun in place, their crews fighting for manual control. But every second they hesitated, the humans pulled more ships into their growing force. By now, half the enemy fleet was firing on the other half, caught in a battle they no longer understood. The dreadnought surged forward, cutting a path through the remaining hostile ships. Torres' console beeped. Captain, incoming transmission from the dreadnought's bridge. Human control team reports partial integration of their crew. Some of the aliens on board are cooperating. That caught Mara's attention. Cooperating. They say the nanite link from the forge is giving the crew access to our tactical network. They can see what we see. Mara considered that. Keep them talking. The more they see, the less they'll want to fight. The prefect's flagship was now flanked by 2 captured destroyers. The rest of the hostile fleet was in retreat, trying to regroup beyond weapons range. But the humans didn't give them the chance. Target their escape vectors, Mara ordered. Make sure they know there's no way out. The dreadnought's heavy guns thundered again, sealing off the enemy's retreat paths with precise, devastating blasts. Smaller ships moved in to cut off stragglers, herding them closer to Atlas Verge. In the command pit, Torres was grinning for the first time. They came here thinking they'd surround us. Now we've got them boxed in. On the far edge of the tactical screen, however, a new cluster of red icons appeared. Torres' smile faded. Captain, new contacts. Big ones. Looks like another fleet, inbound at full burn. How long until they arrive? 15 minutes. Mara didn't flinch. Then we have 15 minutes to take everything they've got before their friends show up. The forge burned hotter, the hum deepening until it felt like the whole station was vibrating. Voss's voice came through again, strained. Captain, if we push any harder, We risk blowing the containment. Then hold it together, Mara said. Her eyes locked on the growing wall of green icons. Ships that had once been the enemy, now moving in perfect coordination under her command. Outside, the void between stars lit up with fire and shadows as the battle reached its peak. The humans weren't just winning. They were consuming the enemy's strength ship by ship and turning it into their own. The High Prefect's last transmission cut through the chaos, filled with rage and disbelief. You will not leave this sector alive, human. Mara leaned forward slightly, her voice calm but edged with steel. We're not leaving, we're staying. And when we're done, there won't be a sector you can call yours. The channel went dead. The dreadnought and its captured escorts surged ahead, smashing through the last organized resistance. But as the smoke of battle cleared, the second wave was already arriving, their signatures burning bright against the black. And this time, the numbers were even worse. The stars shifted as the second Zeppelin fleet dropped out of hyperspace, their hulls glowing from the heat of the jump. There were so many ships that their formation stretched like a wall across the black, blotting out distant constellations. The first fleet had been large, but this one was double its size. Rows of heavy cruisers, carriers, and escorts moving with deadly precision. On the bridge of Atlas Verge, the crew's victory high drained away in seconds. The tactical display filled with red, layer upon layer, until the green icons of the captured ships looked small and scattered. Torres swallowed. New arrivals just locked targeting systems on the station. Captain, they're not hesitating. Mara's voice stayed steady. Good. That means they won't think twice about chasing us. Voss's voice came over comms from the forge chamber. Captain, our systems are already near maximum stress. If they all open fire at once, the station won't hold. Mara looked at the display. The second fleet was tightening its line, pushing forward. The first fleet's few remaining hostile ships were limping toward them, desperate for cover. She saw the pattern forming. They wanted to force the humans into a corner and crush them between the two forces. Then we don't let them corner us, she said. Torres, get me every captured ship we have under control. We're moving. The crew looked at her, startled. Moving where? Torres asked. Into the dead zone. There was a beat of silence. Everyone knew the stories, ships that went in never came out. Alien maps marked it as a void of hazards and strange signals. Even the Zeppelins kept their distance. Captain, the fleet will follow, Torres warned. That's the point. Out in the void, the dreadnought and its escorts began shifting formation, aligning with the station's vector. One by one, the other captured ships turned as well. The alien commanders must have thought the humans were retreating because the second fleet surged forward to cut them off. Voss, Mara said into the comms. Prep the forge for wideband resonance. When we cross the dead zone line, I want every alien system singing to our tune. That's going to light us up like a star, Voss replied. Exactly, Mara said. The station's massive engines groaned as power was rerouted, slowly pulling the enormous structure into motion. Around it, the captured alien ships fell into a protective shell. The dreadnought took point, its bulk shielding the station from long-range fire. The Zeppelins opened up, green lances of energy cutting through the dark. Several shots slammed into the dreadnought's shields, making its armor glow red in places. But it kept moving. Torres called out updates. Distance to the dead zone border, 90 seconds. The second fleet poured on speed, confident they could close the gap. Mara could almost feel their eagerness. They didn't know what waited for them. The border came into view on the navigational overlays, a ragged curtain of gravitational anomalies and dust clouds that shimmered faintly, lit by strange pulses deep inside. Even from here, it looked unnatural, like the edge of a storm frozen in space. 50 seconds, Torres said. On the comms, Voss's voice was tense. Captain, the forge is cycling. Once I fire the wideband, there's no pulling it back. Fire it when I say, Mara told her. The alien ships closed in. Warning tones rang on the bridge as several long-range torpedoes were detected. Mara waited until the countdown hit 10 seconds. Now, she said. The forge's hum exploded into a roar that rattled every bulkhead. Energy surged out from the station in a silent wave, racing ahead into the dead zone. The moment it touched the strange structures lurking there, massive, ancient shapes hidden in the dust, they came alive. Points of light flared across the dead zone as colossal spires and ring-shaped machines lit up, their surfaces running with lines of energy. Gravitational fields shifted violently, tugging at the fleets. The Zevlons didn't slow down. They thought it was just some natural hazard. They pushed in after the humans, chasing them through the curtain of anomalies. Inside the dead zone, the alien formation began to break. Ships swerved to avoid invisible tethers of force. Others were yanked violently off course, colliding with debris or each other. And all the while, the forge's influence spread further. "Captain," Torres said, awe in his voice, "I'm reading connection signals from the structures themselves. They're linking with the forge." "That was the idea," Mara said. The ancient machines acted like amplifiers, turning the forge's signal into a web that wrapped around the entire area. Every alien ship inside began to flicker on the tactical display. Systems failed. Targeting arrays spun out of control. Engines stuttered. One by one, their icons shifted from red to green. In less than 2 minutes, the Second Fleet's perfect formation collapsed into chaos. Ships turned on each other without warning. Captains screamed orders over comms that were instantly overridden by new programming. The dreadnought fired into the confusion, blasting apart the few that still resisted. When the last shot faded, the dead zone was filled with a fleet far larger than anything humanity had ever commanded, and almost every ship now carried human-coded systems. Mara leaned back in her chair, eyes on the screen. "Status." Torres looked stunned. We have them all, Captain. Every ship in both fleets." Mara's gaze hardened. "Then it's time to send a message to their emperor." The dead zone was quiet now, except for the low hum of captured engines and the faint crackle of damaged hulls cooling in the cold void. Hundreds of alien ships floated in perfect formation around Atlas Verge, their weapons powered but aimed outward, waiting for orders. The dreadnought loomed closest, a silent giant under human command. On the bridge, Torres was staring at the tactical screen like he didn't quite believe it. "Captain, this isn't just a fleet. This is a wall. No one is getting through without our say." Mara's gaze moved slowly across the rows of green icons. Each one had been read less than an hour ago. "Good," she said, "because now we use them." She opened a secure channel to the dreadnought's bridge. The alien officers there were still in shock, some staring blankly at their controls, others moving hesitantly as human-coded systems fed them new data. The alien commander, a scaled veteran with a voice like grinding stone, appeared on the display. "You have taken our ships," he said slowly, as if tasting the words. "But not all of our crews will obey you." "Then they can leave," Mara answered simply. "Any crew that wants to live can be dropped at the nearest neutral system. Any who stay will fight with us." There was a long pause. Then the alien gave a slight nod, almost like a soldier acknowledging a new superior. Vasa's voice came over comms from the forge chamber. "Captain, I can stabilize the link to every ship here, but it will mean pushing our signal through their entire command net. That means their emperor will know in seconds," Torres finished for her. "Let him," Mara said. "We're past the point of hiding." The forge pulsed again, its influence stretching out through the alien fleet's communication relays. The humans didn't just take control, they injected their own tactical overlays, their own navigation paths, their own encrypted orders. In the capital of the Zevlon Empire, warning alarms would already be sounding as their entire command network lit up with alien ships now carrying human command signatures. "Captain," Torres said with a grin, "we've got eyes on every Zevlon fleet position in the sector. They can't hide from us anymore." "Then we don't wait for them to regroup," Mara replied. "Split the fleet. Send half to cut their supply lines. The rest we take straight into their territory." On the captured bridges, alien crews followed human orders with a mix of confusion and reluctant efficiency. Ships jumped to hyperspace in waves, their drives flaring bright before vanishing into streaks of light. The dreadnought stayed with Atlas Verge, along with several heavy cruisers. They began moving toward the edge of the dead zone, heading for the nearest Zeppelin-held system. Torres leaned closer to Mara. You know what this means, right? We're not just defending anymore. We're the ones on the attack. That's exactly where we need to be, Mara said. Out in the dark, the first Zeppelin system fell without a single human casualty. The defending ships never fired. They were already under Forge control before they knew there was a battle. Ground garrisons received orders from their own fleet commanders to stand down. Supply depots, weapon factories, and communication hubs switched to human command codes in minutes. Every success fed the Forge more data, more access points to spread through the Empire's network. Reports poured in. One captured squadron had intercepted an entire convoy of war supplies bound for the front. Another had jumped into a heavily fortified shipyard and taken control of half-built dreadnoughts before the crews even knew what was happening. In the capital, the Emperor's court was in chaos. Mara's fleet made sure every planet they entered saw the same broadcast. Images of alien warships fighting alongside human vessels, worlds surrendering without destruction, and a calm voice explaining the new reality. This is not conquest, the broadcast said. This is correction. You will serve a purpose greater than your empire. You can join willingly or lose control of everything you command. On the bridge of Atlas Verge, Torres looked over the latest reports. Captain, we've cut off 3 of their biggest military sectors. Their supply chains are collapsing. They can't keep their fleets fueled. Mara studied the map. Good. Then it's time to aim higher. She keyed a direct line to the dreadnought's command. Plot a course for the Zeppelin capital. We're ending this before they can bring more fleets in. The alien commander hesitated. You mean to take the heart of the Empire? I mean to make sure they understand this war is already over, Mara said. Engines flared across the formation. The dreadnought led the way, Atlas Verge close behind, its reinforced hull and hidden weapons now fully revealed. Ship after ship fell into formation, a combined force of human ingenuity and alien firepower unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. As they jumped, Voss's voice came over the bridge comms. Captain, I can push the Forge further, link every controlled ship so they think and move as one mind. But if I do, there's no going back. These fleets will never be independent again. Mara looked out at the streaking stars. Do it. When we arrive, I want the Emperor to see one fleet. One will, one voice. And as the hum of the Forge deepened, the newly born armada accelerated toward the enemy's throne world, carrying with it the promise that the Zeppelin Empire was about to face something it could never have prepared for. The Zeppelin capital system appeared out of hyperspace in a burst of light. The first thing the human-led armada saw was the size of the defenses. Massive orbital platforms ringed the Emperor's world, each bristling with heavy guns. Fleets of warships patrolled the space lanes, their hulls marked with the symbols of the Empire's oldest and most feared units. The kind of force meant to make any attacker turn back. But they weren't facing just an attacker. They were facing their own ships. The human-controlled dreadnought moved in at the front of the formation, shields glowing faintly. Behind it, hundreds of captured vessels spread out in flawless order. Atlas Verge followed close, its engine steady, its hidden weapon arrays now active for all to see. Torres scanned the tactical data. Captain, they've scrambled every ship in the system. Thousands of guns already locked on us. Mara kept her gaze forward. Good. Saves us the trouble of hunting them down. The comms lit up as Imperial commanders hailed them. Voices full of disbelief and anger flooded the channel. Return our ships. Identify yourself. This is a direct violation of... Mara cut them off with one transmission sent to every listening ear in the system. This is Captain Mara Ellison of the human station Atlas Verge. You are surrounded by your own fleet now under my command. Stand down and you will live. Resist, and you will lose everything in minutes. Her voice carried no anger, only certainty. The words sank into the silence that followed. Then, almost on cue, the Forge activated. From the center of the formation, invisible waves pulsed outward. Every captured ship became a relay, boosting the signal until it washed over the entire system. One by one, the Imperial ships on the tactical screen began to flicker. Targeting systems dropped. Engines stalled. On the orbital platforms, automated defenses spun aimlessly, their control cores overwritten. The Empire's proudest weapons were turning into pieces of a larger puzzle. Pieces that belonged to humanity now. Inside the capital's defense command, the Emperor's advisors shouted over one another, demanding explanations. Reports came in of ships refusing orders, of crews losing control of their systems. In the throne chamber, the Emperor rose from his seat, his scaled face hard. "How many ships remain loyal?" A trembling officer answered. "None, sire. They are all in communication with the human network." Back in space, the dreadnought's main cannon lit up, but not to fire. Instead, it projected a massive holographic image of Mara into orbit above the capital. Every citizen who looked up saw her face, calm and unshaken. "You have been told for centuries that humanity was weak," she said. "That we were primitive. That we would break under the Empire's heel. You were wrong." Her image shifted to show footage of the battles in the dead zone, the moment alien fleets turned their weapons against themselves, the sight of captured ships entering human formations without resistance. "We don't just fight our enemies," Mara continued. "We make them part of us. Every ship you built, every weapon you forged, every defense you relied on, they are ours now. You have no fleet. You have no walls. You have one choice. Join willingly or be replaced entirely." The streets of the capital were filled with stunned silence. Even the Imperial soldiers watching the broadcast lowered their weapons. In the throne chamber, the Emperor clenched his fists, but he could see the truth in the data feeds. His empire's power had been hollowed out from within, and the enemy hadn't needed to destroy it, they had simply taken it. On the bridge of Atlas Verge, Voss spoke quietly. "Captain, the Forge's link is stable across the entire system. I can keep every ship locked into the network permanently." "Do it," Mara said. "No one here is going to turn on us tomorrow." The last few loyalist ships tried to fight, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Within minutes, they too were absorbed into the formation, their systems rewritten by the Forge's relentless code. Torres watched as the tactical screen shifted fully to green. "It's over, Captain. The system is ours." Mara's eyes didn't leave the planet below. No, this was never about taking one system. This was about sending a message. She opened a new channel, not to the Emperor this time, but to every world still under Zeppelin control. "The Empire is finished. Your fleets will not come to your rescue. Your weapons will not save you. But we will not destroy you. Humanity builds where others break. Join the network and you will share in its strength. Refuse, and you will simply be brought in another way." The message repeated, bouncing through the Empire's own comm relays, carried by ships they no longer commanded. Far below, in the Imperial Palace, the Emperor stood alone at the window, watching the human fleet blot out the sky. For the first time in his reign, he had no army to call, no defenses to raise. Only the choice that Mara had offered. On Atlas Verge, the crew felt the weight of it settle over them. They hadn't just won a battle. They had broken the back of an empire. And Mara knew the next move would decide everything. The sky above the Zeppelin capital was filled with ships, all drifting in perfect order. Human and alien vessels moved together like they had always been one fleet, their weapons pointed outward, guarding the planet instead of threatening it. The streets below were quiet. No alarms. No gunfire. Just the hum of the city as people looked up, waiting to see what would happen next. Inside the Imperial Palace, the great doors to the throne chamber opened. The Emperor stood at the top of the steps, his scales catching the light. His guards had already lowered their weapons hours ago. Their armor tagged into the human network the moment the Forge's signal reached the palace. He looked down the long hall to where Captain Mara Ellison stood, flanked by Torres and 2 alien officers from the captured dreadnought. "You have taken everything from me?" the Emperor said, his voice low. Mara shook her head. "No, we've given you a choice." He studied her face for a long time, then let out a slow, bitter laugh. Choice. That is a human word. In the Empire, there is only power and the will to use it. That's why your empire is crumbling, Mara said. Power without unity breaks. We're offering you something stronger. A place in a network where your people aren't just subjects, they're partners. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. And if I refuse? Mara stepped forward, her boots clicking on the polished stone. Then the network will still take root here. It will grow with or without you. But if you choose to be part of it, your people will trust the change. They will follow faster. And they'll see you as the leader who gave them a future instead of the ruler who lost everything. The silence stretched. Tora's hand hovered near his sidearm. But Mara didn't look away from the Emperor. Finally, his shoulders lowered. You will not erase our culture, our ways. We don't erase, Mara said. We connect. You'll still be Zeppelin, but you'll also be something greater. The Emperor's gaze shifted to the alien officers beside her. They gave small nods, warriors of his own fleet, now speaking for humanity. At last, he gave a single, sharp nod of his own. Then I will join. Mara didn't smile. She only gave a firm nod back. Then let's begin. Within hours, the network link spread across the capital. The city's power grids synced with human protocols, instantly stabilizing decades of neglected infrastructure. Communications became faster and cleaner. Factories reported efficiency gains within minutes. Hospitals received medical files from across the network, bringing cures and treatments the Zevlons had never seen. For the first time in memory, citizens began moving through the streets without fear of patrols or raids. Soldiers who had once been the Empire's enforcers now worked side by side with human marines, directing traffic and helping with supply drops. From the balcony of the palace, Mara watched it unfold. Torres joined her, his face unreadable. It's strange. We fought them for years. Now they're working with us like it's always been this way. That's the point, Mara said. Once they see what's possible, they won't want to go back. A fleet-wide transmission went out from Atlas Verge, reaching every world in the former empire. Mara's voice carried across thousands of systems. The Zeppelin Empire is no more. You are no longer subjects of a distant throne. You are part of a network that spans worlds, that shares strength and knowledge. We will not rule you. We will build with you. Together, we will be something greater than any one empire or species. Her words were followed by images. Factories humming at twice their output, farms using new methods to feed millions, fleets of mixed crews patrolling together. The network was no longer an idea. It was real and it was working. In the weeks that followed, more worlds volunteered to join without a fight. The last resisting fleets found themselves alone and surrounded, not by destroyers, but by former allies now integrated into the network. Most surrendered without firing a shot. 6 months later, Atlas Verge floated at the center of a map that no longer showed borders, only connections. Lines of light linked every world, every station, every ship. Humans and aliens spoke in the same meetings, worked on the same projects, and explored the same frontiers. In the command center, Voss studied a set of deep space signals. Long-range sensors are picking up something structured outside our galaxy. Mara joined her at the console. Another civilization? Possibly, Voss said. And judging by the signals, they're advanced. Torres grinned faintly. Sounds like trouble. Mara shook her head. Sounds like opportunity. She turned to the comm officer. Send word to the fleet. We're gonna meet our new neighbors. Engines lit up across the docks. Massive human-alien ships, alive with the hum of the network, prepared to jump. The stars beyond the galaxy waited, holding their own mysteries and dangers. But this time, humanity wouldn't face them alone. As the fleet left orbit, the Emperor of the Zevlons stood on the palace balcony, watching them go. His people had not been conquered. They had been changed. And though he would never fully understand how it had happened, he knew the truth. The humans hadn't just taken his empire. They had given it a future. Mara stood on the bridge of Atlas Verge, watching the stars stretch into lines as the fleet jumped. Her crew, human and alien alike, moved with calm precision. There was no speech, no ceremony. Only the silent understanding that they were no longer fighting for survival, they were building something new. The forge pulsed one last time, linking every ship tighter into the web of connection. Across the fleet, captains received the same final message from Mara. We conquer fear. We consume division. We transform everything we touch. And we're just getting started. The galaxy behind them was unified. The galaxy ahead was waiting. And humanity was ready.